We are here for the much-awaited POSI oration. I will call upon the President of Pediatric Orthopaedic Society of India, Dr. Alaric Arujis, and the Secretary, Dr. Viraj Shingade, to carry on the proceedings. Sir, please, Dr. Alaric.
Thank you, Nirmal. So we have come to the very prestigious part of any conference, and POSI oration has been a very, very prestigious part of all conferences. This time we have Dr. Kishore Mulpuri as a POSI orator. I would request Dr. Alaric Arujis to please escort him and also say a few words about him.
Thank you. Good morning, dear friends. We have come to the most anticipated part of POSICON year after year, which is the POSI oration. And it's my real proud privilege and honor to introduce our orator this year, who's none other than my close friend, Kishore Mulpuri. Kishore is the professor and head of the Department of Orthopaedics of the University of British Columbia, Canada, and also a pediatric orthopedic consultant at the Children's Hospital, Vancouver. He's a fellowship director of the BC Children's Hospital and the co-lead of the Evidence to Innovation at the BCCH Research Institute. Kishore was the founding president of the Canadian Pediatric Orthopedic Group, which has now morphed to the Canadian Pediatric Orthopedic Society. And one of the biggest honors he's had as an Indian now in Canada is to serve as the president of the Canadian Orthopedic Association from 2020 to 2021. Kishore was born in a small sleepy town in Andhra, grew up in Vijayawada, completed his MBBS from the Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. He's my contemporary in many ways, born in the same year, graduated the same year, but after that his trajectory just took off far ahead. He also completed his residency at KMC Manipal, fellowships in pediatric orthopedics at the Women and Children's Hospital Adelaide and the Royal Children's Hospital Melbourne, another fellowship at the BC Children's Hospital in Vancouver, where he then stayed on as the clinical staff, progressing from a junior lecturer. There's some bell ringing somewhere outside, I think. My time's not up yet. Okay. To associate professor, to a full professor since 2020. So he's been there at the same institute for so many years, gradually moving up the ladders to being a full professor. Kishore, as many of us know, is a voluminous publisher. He's published more than 185 peer-reviewed articles, and he's got a very envious age index of 40, 6 book chapters, and several conference proceedings. He's a much sought-after speaker at more than 350 regional, national, and international conferences around the world. Another point of real pride is that he's been the recipient of research grants amounting to more than $9 million US. I think is really very, very commendable. He's a member of several national and international scientific societies. He's a research director of the IHDI and a member of the IPSG and IPOT, which is a group of very select pediatric orthopedic surgeons from across the world. Obviously, in his very checkered career, he has received several awards. Some of the important ones, which I've put up here, is the first time I had to review the CV of someone whose pages ran into 190. It took me a long time to go through that CV, Kishore, and I could just highlight a few of the awards that you've received over the many years of dedicated service to pediatric orthopedics. I think the most important work that Kishore has really done globally is to initiate these international study groups and prospective registries, especially the Global Hip Dysplasia Registry, which at 10,000 participants is one of the largest pediatric hip registries in the world. And I'm very proud to say that 5 centers from India are contributing and are part of this registry right since its inception. He's also started several other registries related to SLIPs, related to implant safety, pediatric orthopedic trauma, and the Rare Hip Conditions Registry as well. And he's trying to bring all of this together under an umbrella called the Hip Hope Network, which has been there for the last few years, which very soon may morph into a pediatric hip society, which I feel all of you should be a part of. Kishore has been a very long-standing friend of POSI, And he did something very commendable of bringing together a few other friends from North America to fund and seed a project called the Dr. Benjamin Joseph, Dr. Ashok Johari Traveling Fellowship in honor of our two senior founder members of POSI, contributed a seed grant of almost 20 lakhs. And because of that fellowship, we have had more than 6 senior members from POSI visiting several centers across North America. He's also instrumental in initiating the CPOS POSI Fellowship for our younger members of the organization. And more than 6 members have benefited from that, spending 1-year fellowships in various centers across Canada. These are a snapshot of a few of the scholars who have visited him. Not all of them, but many of us have benefited from these interactions we have had and networking with experts in the field. Here you can see a few of the younger members of POSI who have attended these clinical fellowships across Canada. And this is an association which has just been growing stronger year after year. Many more institutions from Canada are now part of this fellowship. And I think many young members from our organization have benefited by studying in Canada and by getting trained at higher centers there. The other great piece of work that Kishore initiated along with his team, which was a mammoth exercise, which very few of us actually realized, was the development of these screening pathways for DDH and CP hip surveillance in our country. Very few countries in the world actually have a proper screening program. Ours certainly didn't for many, many years. And we spent almost a year and a half developing these guidelines with a lot of support from Kishore's team in Vancouver and a lot of seed granting that came to us from the various different NGOs that Kishore works with. And I'm really very grateful to him because this has been a landmark project of our organization. We then launched this at the mid-year meeting in 2022, and I hope that many of you sitting here are implementing these guidelines, spreading it across to our pediatricians, neurologists, several other people who are involved with screening children with DDH and cerebral palsy. Kishore, nevertheless, has attended almost every POSICON in the last decade or so. We have a great amount of fun in the academic content of the conference, and we also then learn to chill out at the evening when we have a banquet. He is a prolific singer and dancer, and he sees that he gets everyone on board with him. We all know Kishore as being the ultimate party animal. I don't think anyone who knows Kishore will doubt the fact that he can stay awake till 3 in the morning and wake up the next morning again at 8 o'clock to come and present his talks at the conference. So it's really wonderful being a friend of Kishore. You can be guaranteed that you'll have a night to remember when you go out with him for a few drinks and enjoyment. He's also very well respected by his colleagues and loved by his friends. He's been a member of IPOT, which is the Pediatric Orthopaedic Think Tank, since several years. And this is a lovely birthday message. I can't remember. It was put up on our PDPods group, probably Taral, because he is very, very innovative in all of this, put down what Kishore actually stands for. And I think that was a very appropriate happy birthday message to Kishore that was put up on our PDPods group. He's a very devoted family man, married to his wife, beautiful wife, Bindu, for the last 28 years. 2 beautiful kids, Varshita and Anvit, and I'm very happy that Varshita is here with us today with Bindu. And I guess Anvit is on a Zoom call and probably listening to all of this. So he spends a great amount of time with his family, and it's just been really wonderful and awesome to interact with them over the last many years that I know them. He's not just a man for the conference halls and academics. He knows how to chill out, have a great time, involved in a lot of adventure sports as well. And as you can see, always having a great time. So friends, it's my proud privilege and honor once again. I could have gone on, and this would have taken the whole oration by itself, because there's just so much to speak about Kishore, but I think we must give our orator his time on the stage. Let him speak to us about what's close to his heart, speaking about Ikigai and Orthopaedics, finding purpose and leading with impact. So put your hands together, friends, and welcome our orator, Kishore Mulpuri.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Al, you gave half my talk. So anyway, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with you all. And when Al called me and said, you know, we're going to do this, I could not believe that I have this opportunity. Do we have a slide clicker that I can use? So I thought long and hard about this talk. You know, what is it that I'm going to talk, especially given that several people that have inspired me, especially two significant individuals that have been a huge part of my influence on pediatric orthopedics from India. And one is Dr. Benjamin Joseph, and one is Dr. Benjamin Joseph, who's not here with us in the hall, but I know he's there in the spirit. And he's, as you all know, he's had a significant impact on me, not just as an orthopedic surgeon, as an individual. And the second person is who I actually never had a fortune of working with, but I would say I probably was his Ekalavya Shishya, so watched him from far, and inspired by this man and his ability to actually bring people together. It doesn't matter where in the room. As we've seen, Dr. Johari has held a lot of national organization presidencies. It's because he's got this incredible ability to connect with everybody, at the same time inspire people to be involved in science. So it's these two individuals. And if I want to talk about them, I think I'll probably need the whole afternoon. So I'm just going to say that a lot of my inspiration comes from these two individuals. And so I just want you to take a minute to read this. Burnout. What is burnout? Lack of control, unclear job expectations, dysfunctional work, extremes of activity, lack of social support, and work-life imbalance. Who here in the audience have experienced that at some stage in their life till now? Raise your hand. Okay. Imposter syndrome. This is subjective experience of perceived self-doubt and one's ability and accomplishments compared with others. So you're in the room, you're presenting, you're on the stage. For example, right now, I feel the imposter syndrome. I'm sitting with Dr. Johari, who's an orator before. I'm like, I don't belong here. This is not me. Who here has felt imposter syndrome? Raise your hand. Okay, it's real. Serendipity lives, where we are set out to do something in life. We think, I'm going to become this, and then you end up doing something else. And either because of lack of opportunities in one direction, or maybe opportunities that present itself in another direction. Who here experienced serendipity in their life? Okay, so the next probably 15 minutes, if you indulge with me, is going to be about these three main themes. So 1994, Dr. Johari organized a meeting, and as you can see here, and had these office bearers that are going to decide about bringing a group of people together and form Pediatric Orthopedic Society. 1995 was the first meeting of Pediatric Orthopedic Society in Manipal. And 1994, what's the similarity between POSI and me? In 1994, I joined orthopedic training. 1995, January 1st, I think Somraju will remember this, and we were in the same unit. We started with Dr. Benjamin Joseph, and some of us were asked to help organize this meeting. So I remember sitting in the audience, and that's the first time I met Dr. Johari, young, dynamic. That dynamism hasn't changed, sir. You're still young. That infectious, probably, enthusiasm that I saw between them about something great was happening. And I didn't know what it was going to be. No clue at that point in time. I was actually going to be a pediatric orthopedic surgeon. That is actually not my specialty of interest at that point in time. I was so scared to work with Dr. Benjamin Joseph. Those that worked with him will know. If people have dreams about other people, most of my dreams about Dr. Joseph is waking up in the middle of the night and thinking, I don't know if I know the answer to the question he's going to ask me. So that was the stage I was in. But the journeys, I think, of POSI and mine, in a funny way, have gone similar direction. POSI started very local and had a significant impact globally. But a lot of the global learnings now, POSI ambassadors that travel around, bring it back here locally. And I've had a similar kind of a journey. But POSI had its direction and vision from the start. To be honest with you, I was like a kite whose thread was cut. I had no clue which direction I was going in 1994, 95. I had no idea that I would be standing in front of you when I sat in the audience in 1995. And then I met this young man. Talk about imposter syndrome. I felt so inferior when I watched this man present at that meeting in Pune. And Dr. Benjamin, I think Somraju will remember this again, could not stop, because we went to that meeting together with George, could not stop talking about Al. this young man that I see would be a future leader in POSI. Dr. Joseph predicted then, Al, that you would be. And I had an incredible inferiority complex. AA is very polished, as you can see, incredibly impeccably dressed, and speaks probably like Dr. Joseph a Shakespeare English. And whereas for me, with my Telugu English, I felt incredibly inferior. Okay, this story is also about who here has their education till grade 10 or grade 12 in a language other than English. Raise your hands. So I was just like you all. And I looked at Al and I said, look, I don't belong here. Another imposter syndrome. So these are all the meetings that I've attended up until the 2019 landmark Silver Jubilee meeting. I attended 4 meetings. We already talked about Pune and Mumbai. I attended Allahabad because my mentor, Dr. Treadwell, was invited as a guest, so I accompanied him as an attendee. And then let's come to the 2016 meeting. To me, that's a pivotal meeting of POSI. And if you think in between what POSI was doing these incredible collaborations. There are several people that needed to be credited for this. Sanjeev Sabharwal, Dr. K. Wilkins, Shafiq Pirani came here, was getting involved in various things in terms of setting up Clubfoot and others. But it is this amazing work of POSI and POSNA I know was going on. But what was I doing during that time? I was building my family. I had 2 young kids, new country, new job, and trying to kind of figure out what I need to do and how I need to be relevant actually in the Canadian context. So what I was doing, what I inherited when I went there is this. So the most common procedure I did for my first 4 years of practice, maybe even when Sukhdeep was my fellow, is actually do this, not reconstruction, but cut femoral heads and throw them in the bucket. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Why don't we have a hip surveillance program? And someone said, Sick Kids Toronto doesn't have it. There is not one in North America. You're not going to have one. And then what led to that is creation of the first and only North American hip surveillance program, where we've now completely eliminated home ground British Columbia dislocated hips. The only salvage surgery we do are new immigrants to our province. And I attended my first meeting in 2004, right after the Allahabad meeting, to present a paper at COA. There were 4 people in the pediatric session. I almost got up and left. Out of the 4, 2 were the moderators. 1 was my mentor who was sitting in the audience. And that actually then inspired us to say, why don't we bring the pediatric orthopedic surgeons together, just like the way Dr. Benjamin and Dr. Johari did, to create a pediatric orthopedic group. One person that was significantly involved and instrumental in making that happen is Sukhdeep Dulai, who is sitting right here with many others. Right? So it is possible if you have a vision. And where did I pick that up from? From actually watching POSI from inception to what POSI has grown. And most of you know Tirupati, and probably you would recognize Dr. Jagdish, an incredible man and really committed to service. I would go to Tirupati to pray to God, and then on the way, I would actually spend some time. And I would be doing surgery on children who are walking age dysplasia. And I thought that few days I was spending in Tirupati, I was giving back. Right around the same time, 2015, I published the guidelines. I was a chair for American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons for development dysplasia of the hip. And I was also the research director for International Dysplasia Institute. And I thought I was on the top of the world. I have all of these accolades and recognition. I was really feeling good about myself. But trust me, who is in 40s here? Raise your hand. For some of you, the wisdom will come probably a little bit sooner. For a lot of you, this is actually the time you start asking hard questions. Who am I? What am I doing? And is this what I'm supposed to do? And I was certainly going through that phase. And the realization came to me that I wasn't engaging back with the society that actually inspired me. I barely ever attended meetings here at POSI. And I wasn't collaborating with anybody meaningfully in India. When if you look at this, the population-wise, all of my research was relevant to less than 8% of the world. And I'm like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Right around the same time, I had this incredible opportunity for 5 weeks, again, thanks to Bindu and kids that actually allowed me to be able to travel and be away from family for 5 weeks. You can imagine, as Al said, it was black tie dinners, and every night end up in some place where you are having a good time. But what the group did, though, these are incredibly fit individuals that I happen to be with. That's probably the fittest I've ever been. would wake up in the morning, go for a run. When I go for a run, I'm asking myself the question that's bugging me, which is, who am I? What am I doing? What am I going to do? At the end of those 5 weeks, clarity came to my mind. I am not going to get involved in anything if it's not relevant to 80% of the world. I am not going to do my research, especially because research is your volunteer work, your academic work, if it's only relevant to USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. It has to be relevant to Canada because that's the country that's given me a job. I work there. But once I go beyond Canada, we're going to really collaborate with anyone and everyone around the world. And as going back to that 2016 meeting, so what do? I look for the next POSI meeting. And I called out Talaiwa. Is Talaiwa here? We all know, there you go. And so I called him and I said, hey, I want to come to the meeting. And he goes, Kishore, look, our faculty is already set. I said, no, I just need a room because I couldn't find a room in the room block. He was kind enough to make room, make space, register me in the last minute to come to this meeting. And if you're thinking I'm going to be in those people with the turban like I was wearing last night, no. I was a rank and file, just like many of you here attendees sitting in the audience, just soaking it in. It really dawned on me, this society, even though I have not engaged with this society is engaging with people globally and making a huge impact. Dr. Johari has become a global leader, and all of you know there is not a major society that he has not been a president of. And I was really awestruck with the amazing work that's doing. But what followed after is two key important meetings. One is the AOS meeting with Sandeep, as you can see here, and as well as Tharal. And we spent, I don't know, Sandeep, if you remember, we sat out in the patio in nice hot sun talking about how we can really engage between POSI and in North America for us in Canada. And right around the same time, as Al showed in some of the pictures, he came to the meeting at ePOSNA. And Al, as you know, has served this society in some capacity for the last 15 years. And he's like, Kish, we need to work together and figure out what we need to do. And right around the same time, a bunch of parents that I know has come together and said, Kishore, we want to support the work we do, and hence the birth of I'm a Hippie. And so Dr. Sain would probably remember this. So we actually started this, I was secretary of Canadian Orthopaedic Association, this collaboration to really bring India and Canada together. With due respect, sir, to you and Dr. Johari, the advice that was given to me is IOA has no institutional memory. A new president comes, the collaborations you set up usually fade off. Unfortunately, this did fade off. And on the same time, I was told, if you put the same amount of energy with POSI and build those collaborations, they're going to stick longer because POSI is a very nimble organization and really there's an institutional memory. And the president at the time is Dr. Ramani, who I have actually barely met, and Al. And what led after that is I called them up and said, hey, I really want to honor Dr. Johari and Dr. Joseph, create this award, sent to all the faculty that have ever attended the meeting, all of the expats that have ever attended POSI meeting before. There were, I think, about 30 of them. The first one to respond is probably the least academic of all of us, Sham. And he also matched the biggest contribution between all of us. So kudos to Sham. And the other person that needs, all of these, they've contributed in very many different ways. And I think Salil has probably never been to a meeting till 2019, but he was again, well, Kishore, I think we should do something together. Shittal needs a special mention. Who here has visited Shittal and Viral? Can you raise your hand, Cincinnati? Okay, just for the records, he had 70 people visit for 3 months, and he had 10 core fellows out of the 5 were from India. So big round of applause to Viral and Shittal for the amazing kind of work. Quiet, as you know, those two are very quiet. You won't even know where they are in the audience, but the amazing impact that they've had. And the 2019 meeting to me is one of the best meetings I've ever attended. And I got to see firsthand how major meetings are held, how engagement is created, how excitement is being created. It's not just the academics having a great social program that really brings people together. That I have to say, these 5, you have done an amazing job to inspire a lot of people, including me. Several meetings that I've kind of organized after that, I follow the same format that you guys have shown me in 2019. We already talked about this fellowship. Here is an example of Rujuta and Al's visit. This is Rujuta's visit. I would humbly tell you, we learned 10 times more from them than they ever probably learned back from us. After both of their visits, after their grand rounds talks, I've had several that called and said, this is probably the best grand rounds talk yet, right? And so this goes to show it is not something that when you go abroad, that if you're thinking you're learning, we're learning a lot when you come to visit us. And this is Karthik's visit as a fellow, and most recent visit of Avi Shah to visit us at Children's Hospital. The best part about POSI, to be honest with you, what makes me want to come back in addition to this, I don't think there is another meeting where you have an after party in the room led by jokes of Talaiwa. And if you ever want to know, I think you should talk to him and say, Jay, where is the hangout tonight? And his jokes and his songs and whatever. And what's probably not seen in all of this is Dr. Johari always comes and he's quietly there. That's what actually brings people together. It's not like he's going to bed at 8 o'clock. He's staying till the last person leaves that room. And talking about the global nature, this is our UBC fellowship program. You can see in the last 8 years, we have had somewhere between 9 to 19 different countries out of our 30 fellows. And if you think we're doing something to the world, selfishly, we're learning from the world. We're learning from all different parts of the world. And these are our global collaborations. Just take a look at them. 71 different centers in 6 different continents. Again, if anybody ever thinks that we're doing something for them, no. We're actually learning from 71 different centers. We are learning from them. And Al talked about the care pathway development work, and it's probably one of the most impactful global health work that we've ever done. Emily and Stacy Miller, they've actually led these projects for us from Canada. When pandemic happened, when everything shut down, and that's when I think Dhiren and Al came together and said, we'd like to develop these care pathways. And there is always a fun byproduct that comes out of it. We're working with UNICEF. We're so grateful to Divi's Foundation for Gifted Children that's actually funding this project here in India. And I got to meet this great man. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you watch his Netflix series to try and understand this man. And we started a hip hop network. You can see several of our Indian stalwarts being recognized as someone that's done an incredible amount of work. 2 of them are sitting with us, Dr. Johari and Al. And Al was one of our most recent HIP Legend recipient, well-deserved for all the amazing work that he has done. Now coming to the leadership of POSI, look at these people. Look at each and every one of them, and they've all contributed in their own way quite significantly. Quite significantly. As I said, I had the good fortune of working with leaders from Ramani onwards, right? Look at this man. Look at him. Dhiren, I met him for the first time when he came to visit Dr. Johari, as probably some young surgeon sitting here. He wanted to visit the Gate Lab. I had no clue that I would see him back again probably after 30 years here, only to know he chaired 134 webinars and counting. If you ask me on the education front, this is probably as big a contribution as 1,000 publications. Big round of applause. And if you think about the countless number of hours that goes into planning, inviting people, and getting them to actually give their talks, be there. It's not those 134 hours, probably times 10. And that's volunteerism. That is giving his time back. And he tells me he's greatly inspired by this gentleman and his writings. And he gives this book to people. And I want you to focus on one thing, which is if you see, lasting impact comes from relationships, not position. Several of us have titles. Several of us become presidents and then become not presidents anymore. But it's the relationships that you build that actually makes lasting impact. And Al, 15 years of service with POSI and counting. A lot of you might not know, we're 2 polar opposite people. His talk probably was done for today about 3 weeks ago. Mine, I was still putting slides together till about 5 minutes ago. He's super organized. I'm incredibly disorganized, right? But Al's passion in terms of wanting to contribute and making this society is better is infectious, is something that is truly inspiring. And I would humbly submit what's common with all of these POSI leaders is their ability to change. We know they're very different individuals. Doctor, you probably couldn't have, in some ways, two contrasting personalities as Dr. Benjamin Joseph and Dr. Ashok Johari. But what was common for them is their ability to change, they know, is their superpower. Their ability to contribute is their superpower. Each of you have that superpower. But we don't always realize that. Our biggest superpower is our ability to change. And I just want to say, when people think about it, people go, oh my God, like Kishore is somebody that probably has everything. So look at this. I want you to take a minute to try and look at this. Yellow is big picture. Red is about people. Green is about process. Blue is about analytics. So I'll give you a spoiler alert. I am not good at all four when a new idea comes to me. I'm only good in 2 quadrants. Any guesses? Ramani, what do you think? My thinking preference is 2 quadrants. Big picture, people, process, analytics. Sorry? Yellow and red. You're spot on. So I am yellow and red. The dotted line is what happens when I'm under stress. And Bryn sitting here will know. Bryn is trying to tell me and say, Kishore, we've got a meeting coming up, nothing is planned. And I'm going to say, who's coming to the meeting? How big is the meeting going to be? Are we going to take over the world? Right? So when I'm under stress, I become dangerously low on process. I become low on analytics, almost to the point that I can go to jail. But look at this one. These are 3 individuals that work very closely with me as a part of Hippie Lab. They're very different than I am, incredibly different from what I do. But the next one you see here, 15 of us plotted here, 15 of us. But when we combine all 15, we're a perfect square. So whenever you see something, so today I'm standing here giving the oration, it's not me. It's people like Emily, it's people like Bryn, it's people like Harpreet that I've privileged to work with. If they are not all contributing, there is no way that we would get where we are. In fact, I get credit for being the CPOG first president. If not for Sukhdeep taking time to come to Vancouver and say, Kishore, we've been talking about it for a few years. We got to do something, right? It would not have happened because Sukhdeep is an incredibly process-oriented person, incredibly analytical. So we complemented each other. So whenever we think it's one person, trust me, even though POSI had only 7 leaders or 8 leaders till now, it's all of you that's sitting in the audience is what created POSI or what it is today. If there is one takeaway I want to take away from you is this. Which zone do you think I was when I was a PG in Manipur? I was an apathy zone, anxiety zone, or comfort zone, or active growth, which is, okay, who here during their training were in the anxiety zone? Lift your hand up. Okay. Who here teaches right now? Who is teaching trainees? Put your hand up. You have the ability to change that. They can be stressed about the work we do. They should never be stressed to work with you. So my humble request to all of you, play down your position. Training happens when people are comfortable to learn. That's why no one calls me Dr. Mulpuri. Everybody calls me Kishore. So if there's only one takeaway for you, your teachers here, make sure you create the comfort zone or active growth zone, definitely not anxiety zone. There's no point for learners to be stressed working with you. Often people ask me, what books are you reading? Guess what? This is the book I'm reading. Whenever I come to meetings, you'll see me sit and talk to people. And I had a great chat with Dhiren Bhai yesterday. And that's like reading 10 books. 10 minutes of talking to him is like reading 10 books. These are all my mentors, exactly the same. So never pass up an opportunity of sitting and talking to people. If ever you see me more outside the room than in, I'm learning as much talking to these people because they're distillation of many books and they've never written books that they should have written. The other thing I would humbly tell you is trust is earned drop by drop by drop. Same is respect and relationships. We earn them drop by drop. But guess what though? We lose them in buckets. So even if your friend, your wife, your children, if you ever get angry with them, what do? You forgive and forget and move on. But what do we do at the workplace? Somebody does something that you don't like, we quickly judge, we stop talking to them, we get angry with them. If there's one thing that you want to remember that trust and respect are earned drop by drop, lost in buckets. So never kick that bucket away, especially if you build that relationship over a period of time. What happened to me when I was in my 40s, I went from the accolades of tap on the back. I still like them, but that's what actually motivated me. When I went from that to my motivation is looking at myself in the mirror, feel good about who I am, is when my biggest growth happened. Everything I do, a lot of people say, oh my God, you've done all of this. I said, no, that's because I'm incredibly selfish. I want to look at myself in the mirror, feel good about who I am. If that's your driving factor, which is for most of you here that contribute, I know that is a fact for Dhiranbhai. I know that's a fact for Dr. Johari, for people that I spend closely time with. I know that is what motivates them, right? And this, everybody knows what a VIP is, very important person. And every very important person becomes previously important person, reaches PIPTM. Remember, every Dr. Sain was president of IOA. Yes, everybody, red carpet, sir, you come, they book a presidential suite. The very next year he shows up, everybody likes him, but he has no presidential suite anymore because he reached PIPTM. So remember, you should be valued and respected for what you represent, not because you were a president of POSNA 3 years ago or president of COA 5 years ago, because those things are gone. Right now, VIP is Dr. Dulai. She's our COA president. I have reached PIPTM. And this year, I'm going to rotate off board. When I walk around, people say, who is this guy? And somebody said, you don't know him? So someone said, you go from where is Kishore to who the dash is Kishore in no time. So remember that, okay? And also remember, positivity is infectious. And when I went through my burnout phase, which I think few of the fellows that went, Arjun was my fellow during my absolute cynical phase, and where the world was going to end tomorrow. And now I refuse any big problem to affect my positivity. Nelson Mandela said it always seems impossible till it's done. Walt Disney said it's kind of fun to do the impossible. What's common between the two of them is being incredibly positive. So never lose your positivity. The day you lose your positivity, that's when problems happen. Never be afraid to take a risk. I'm incredibly scared of heights. I was on ABC tour and I thought, what should I do that is crazy that my kids would never believe? So I did the bungee jumping. By the way, don't ever do it. It was the craziest thing I've ever done in life. I don't think I'll ever do it again. But, but it goes to show that never be afraid to take a risk. This slide, I'm talking to myself, not talking to all of you. Some of us think that we can have all 4 burners and put them at full flame and they work fine. Often in reality, you probably have one flame that works really well, another one a little bit medium, and the other 2 probably not. And I have to say, my 2 burners that I've neglected is my own personal health and probably my relationships with many people from childhood. And that is something that I am really working on now in the last couple of years. And again, when you say you don't only learn from people with gray hair or people with no hair, there is this young, I'd really advise you all to listen to this podcast. It's one of the most impactful podcasts that I've listened to in recent times. So it is available freely on the web, and I'd recommend you to read about this, to talk about wellness and about burnout. This gentleman that you see here is probably a true example that knows how to work all those 4 burners. Look at him. I've had a good fortune of going during that meeting in Coimbatore to visit the ashram there of Sadhgurus. Those few hours spent with him, I got to know what an incredible person he is. And then over the years, really look at him, to talk about an all-rounder, talk about someone that really has all of those 4 burners in some way working. That's what you want. Who here has children playing some competitive sports, some sports of any kind? Raise your hands. My humble thing to you, that phase would only last a very short period of time. I know we were all sitting here and watching India play Zimbabwe yesterday, India-Pakistan match. Trust me, if you ever go and watch and see the satisfaction in their eyes and start enjoying, it's better than watching India-Pakistan cricket match. And I wish I could rewind that time back to where I spend more time with my kids. If there's one unsolicited advice I can give you, watch your kids do anything. It doesn't matter sports, whatever activities they're in, get involved. Okay? Now, coming back to the title of the talk, what is Ikigai? Who's heard this term before? Can you raise your hands? Most of you have, which is great. So this, if you get paid well, I don't think any orthopedic surgeon should dare, I don't get paid well. And if you're good at what you do, it gives you a profession. If you love what you do, it gives you a passion. I think most of us love what we do. I think the last one I would say is if you do what the world needs, and I think what POSI provides, what our own jobs provide, a lawyer, for him to go volunteer, he has to take an effort. He has to go volunteer at a temple or a church. But for us, our job lends for us to be able to volunteer. Great examples of that is Sandeep, who volunteers his time to go and take care of children with cerebral palsy. And also Tharal, I know, has been involved for a number of years, volunteering his time with people. Who here volunteers their time for a week or more? Raise your hands. And I would tell the rest of you, try doing that. We have 52 weeks, 1 week of your time, 1 week. Volunteer and you see how your life will transform, how you start feeling about yourself, right? So that is that sweet point in the middle where you intersect these four is where your Ikigai is. Now, why is serendipity in life? So you probably heard my talk and thought, Kishore, from the time he was 5 years old, he wanted to be a doctor. I grew up in this workshop. I have 2 older brothers, both did engineering. My oldest brother was supposed to do medicine, but he switched in the last minute, he did engineering. And I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, take care of my dad's workshop. And I had no interest in biology. And Telugu was my medium, you go from learning in Telugu, now you have to switch to mitochondria in English. I didn't even know how to spell it. I cried every single day in grade 11 and 12. My dad forced me to be a doctor. Unlike most people say, I was inspired to be a doctor. No, I was forced to be a doctor. So that's the serendipity in my life. And then orthopedics is the closest thing to mechanical engineering, right? So that's why I took orthopedics. Within orthopedics, if you think I want to be a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, I wanted to be a sports orthopedic surgeon, take care of Indian cricket. That's why my first fellowship in Australia was a sports fellowship, right? But what I do right now is I get to work with these amazing people. Bryn is sitting right here. This team of people, it was called Hippie Lab, now Greater Orthopedic Department at UBC because I'm chairman of the department. And with all of you around the world, right? And there's several big honors that I've received in my life. One of them is being a president of COA. Probably one of the biggest things that I felt really touched is when I got invited to Manipur to be a chief guest for their 70th Platinum Jubilee celebration. 6 of the 10 deans of their families sitting there are people that have taught me. To receive that honor in front of them was something that I've actually never ever thought in my life. But I would humbly tell you, being here today and being the orator is probably the biggest honor yet along with those that I've ever received. So my humble thank you to all of you. Because I'm in the company of, look at those people, Dr. Johari in 2017, right? And these are people that have inspired me. Dr. Kay Wilkins, who was the first orator, rightfully so, and Dr. Benjamin Joseph. So I don't feel, talk about imposter syndrome, I don't feel I belong here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Just to close up, we have to go from me, that's what happened to me in my mid-40s, to we. We have to go from I to us. I would say have a lofty goal. Don't bother if you achieve it, but have a lofty goal. Have a purposeful and meaningful career in life. Think about it again. Purposeful and meaningful career in life. Know that that's different for everybody. Don't judge other people through your lens. The biggest thing, superpower that you have, in addition to ability to change, is being kind and being generous. Work hard. I would loudly say play harder, quietly say party harder. So work becomes easy, right? Work hard and play harder. Build transformative relationship, not transaction. Well, Al did this for me, so I'm going to do this for him. That's not how it works. Just do what the right thing is, right? Honestly, the last sentence, again, I'm talking to myself. Take care of yourself, put your family first, which we always forget. Put your family first. There's no one waiting for your family more than the people that care about you. They're the ones that care about you the most. So now to conclude, what is POSI? POSI is a purpose-driven organization from its inception, and it has shown its impact. POSI puts others first. POSI creates impact, creates outcomes, and we've seen that. We've witnessed that in the last 32 years. And it is service. It is also creating significance, not success. Success can be measured. Significance of POSI, 850 members and counting, is one of the largest and most influential pediatric orthopedic bodies there is in the world. And impact beyond borders. It's local to global, back to local. So just to finish up, from POSI's beginnings to its global partnerships, our journey shows that when purpose, outcomes, service, and impact guide us, we find our Ikigai. Work rooted in collaboration, compassion, and lasting change. Right? So think about this. Think about why POSI is here, what POSI has done. So if you ever think that this has all happened, and I went to some business school, I learned, most of my humbly where I learned is my dad, there are 15 siblings, 13 surviving. It is through this family is where I learned art of negotiation, art of disappointment, art of actually excitement, art of collaboration is all learned through many summers spent with my cousins, my uncles. Some of my uncles are incredible in terms of my aunts, whether they're educated or not, what they've achieved and how they've shown, how they've inspired me. But really, it's these people, my mom and dad, my dad who forced me to be a doctor. It's my brothers who continue to inspire me. It's their families, my nieces, nephews. But it's really my children, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law who's not here with me anymore. But without this one individual who actually put her career, even though she wanted to be a doctor from the beginning, but she actually took the back seat to be able to support me to be where I am today with you all. So with that, my humble, sincere thank you to all of you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would request our President, Dr. Alaric Arojis, to present a prestigious memento to our Dr. Kishore Mulpuri. And if I take some liberty to invite past President of India, past President of POSI, Dr. Ashok Zohri sir, Dhiren Bhai, and Ramani, please, if they can join. Trust me, Kishore is such a wonderful guy. Whenever you ask one, he's helping our people, all youngsters, in so many years in a big, big manner. So we are really grateful to you, Kishore, for all your help to our all youngsters.